We translated our ancient scripts into English, and now we have the King James Version, that majestic monument to English literature. Well, who is doing it today? Who is writing Shakespeare today? Are the Beatles writing Beethoven? They begin with a B, all right, but it's not Beethoven, it's not Bach, it's not Brahms. So have they outgrown these great giants? No. That age could be far greater age for what they need when they slip from here to find themselves exposed to real music, real wonderful creative things. So it is not a progression one way. All this thing is a theater, and it's all closed. You slip off the garment here and you find yourself awake. It could be in the same time slot beyond this moment, but the chances are it will not be. Until that very end, and when you come to the end, you will only know you're at the end when the Son of God calls you Father. And as you read these stories, the Son of God is David. I said unto him, you are my son. And there it is. So when David stands before you and calls you Father, and you know he is your son, and he knows you are his father, then you've reached the end. The end is the complete awakening of your own wonderful human imagination. That's what the whole vast world aches for. The awakening of God within him. And God within man is man's own wonderful human imagination. That's God. So we have the permanent spiritual states of the soul through which the individual passes to his redemption. And then we have states that you and I create to deliver men from their present state into which they're fallen. So we fall into a state of being not wanted and feeling sorry for ourselves. That's only a state. The individual in that state is one with the individual who sits on a throne. There's only one God. So that I is the same. Now, may I tell you, there is no loss of identity. You will never lose your identity. It will never cease to be, and it will never change. You aren't absorbed. You are an I, and that I is that sense of awareness, and forever, you are individualized. And you tend forever towards ever greater and greater individualization. There's no absorption in this, yet you are that one. And you are passing through these states towards the awakening of that one. And you are that one. But these states, told as persons in Scripture, you pass through them. Now, when you come to the end, you come right into David. David is the resultant state of your journey from Abraham to Jesus. He is the resultant state. So when you reach the end, you awake as the Lord, and he has a son. And the son is David, and David is the symbol of humanity. You've gone through the entire gamut of man. And may I tell you, if you know your Scripture, everything, every crime in the world possible to man is described in the Bible openly. There isn't a crime, you name it, that is not described in the Bible openly. Man goes through them. He doesn't have to. He can discriminate and not fall into one if he knows there are states. But you sit down and you listen to a certain story. A man who is prejudiced, and he poisons your mind. And you fall into that state and accept his prejudiced mind. And then you're going to pay the price of that prejudice. Eventually you will. You don't have to accept it. You go into a restaurant, you don't say, bring me what the chef wants to get rid of tonight. Bring me a menu. And then you order. Maybe he only has that one order that you want. No one else wants it, but you want it. I go into a restaurant back in New York City a few years ago. It was early, I grant you. It was only 11 in the morning, but I had no breakfast. It was brunch. And I took some friends into the Hilton Hotel. And I went to this Bourbon room. Well, it was Sunday, and I don't dress up for Sunday. I went in with an open shirt. Well, New York hasn't quite caught on to California when it comes to wear. And so the head waiter, all stuffy, and he said, "Button up." And this very, very heavy accent. Well, I have an accent too, so I couldn't criticize him. But here he is with this very, very heavy accent, and he's criticizing my appearance because I had on a jacket, yes, but my shirt was open at the neck. And I'm taking 5 people in to brunch. So I buttoned up the collar, and he gave me a table off the wing, not to be seen by those who were coming with ties and shirts. And then I said, all right, I want clams. When the waiter took my order, clams. I said, yes, I want clams. I don't want bacon and eggs, and I don't want the usual breakfast that you think you're going to serve everyone. I want clams for breakfast. Bring me clams. So he delayed, and finally he brought the clams. And I said, come back here, please. This isn't charity. I'm paying for it. Bring me, I want some horseradish, and I want a little Tabasco sauce. Reluctantly he goes and he gets that. But that's what I wanted. I'm paying for it. Well, in life, do the same thing. You just don't go in and say, throw me a tie. You select one from maybe 100. A silly little thing that you put around your neck. But you still want one tie, and you want to pick it up. The same thing is true of these states. Don't let anyone poison you and throw you into a state, because you're going to pay the price of that state. We're only moving through states, but they are a permanent, fixed number of states, and the Bible records them. Every character in that Bible is a state. And you start with Abraham, and you come out at the end, and the end, as you're told, is Jesus. Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad. And you know our father Abraham. Well, you're not yet 50 years old. And how could you know Abraham? Or how could Abraham know you? He said, before Abraham was, I am. I am precedes anything that I have ever been. I must precede whatever I claim that I am. I can say I am before, and I must say before I say I'm rich. Riches do not precede me. I am. Then I can say that I am wealthy. I create wealth because I am is the only reality. And I create that which I assume that I am. So if I assume that I am this, that, or the other, I create it in my world. Well, I can assume it not only for myself, I assume it for another. If it comes within the framework of the golden rule, I will do it. If you ask me to say that he has left me in his will, and it's a very, very big estate, will you hear from me that he's dead? Well, don't ask it of me. Go to someone else and ask it, but don't ask it of me. I could not assume that he died because you are in his will. No, go to someone else. Now, someone said, you know, thrift is a marvelous virtue, especially in an ancestor. And so it's right. Well, I'll go along with that, especially in an ancestor. But I still would not wish him to die because I am a descendant or named in his will. I use this technique, this law, and it works beautifully, may I tell you. Imagining creates reality. Imagining created these eternal states. And then we go through the states, from Abraham to Jesus. When we come to Jesus, you awake. That is God awake in you as you. And God is the Father of humanity. Humanity is the Son of God. But the Son, personified as a single being, is David. And he comes out as David. Now the ancients have painted eternity as an old man. It's not an old man. It's David.